First thing I'm going to do is wind the mainspring into the barrel. So I've got a, a vintage mainspring winder here. I'm just going to make sure that the angles are correct so you can see what's going on. Just have to tighten this up a bit. I'll just put it, let me see if it clears like that. Yeah, that might be a good enough angle right there. So I'll just tighten this up just a tad. I can tighten it on both sides or one side, it doesn't really matter. Like that. And is that coming around? Yeah, just barely. Now I got to take the mainspring winder and I just crimp it into here. Not a problem. You put it at the end of the vise because I need access to this part here, right? So if I loosen this up, loosen that up. I'm not sure if that's the right depth. It might be actually. It's close enough, right? That'll push that in. So now the next question is this the right adapter for the barrel? So the barrel, this is the barrel. So I just want to make sure the barrel is the right, I get the right adapter for the barrel, so I can just simply put this over a couple of my adapters, and this one here seems to work. I'm not sure if that's what they're called, but good enough for now. So that fits in really nicely actually. So I should be able to plop that in without a problem. And this is the biggest one I have, I think, because it's a pretty big barrel. So this goes in here, and I'm just going to make sure that this rides all the way to the end to pop it into the barrel, and I don't have a problem. I also need to be able to hook. This also needs to be able to hook onto the barrel, and it looks like there's not enough of a hook on there, which means I've got to loosen the top screw on here like that, and then this would move. Get a bigger screwdriver here and loosen the top screw here, and then this would move back like so, and I just see whether I can. Okay, that's pretty good right there. So push this back. I got to just have enough hook. The hook, let me see, that's pretty good right friggin' there. So I'll just hook this in right now, and I think I've got the right hook on here, so that has to be good too. And then once this is in, I can tighten the bottom part here. These are vintage spring winders. So now the spring goes into the barrel. This is the mainspring, goes into the barrel like that, because I looked at the hook on the inside, which means it's got to go into the winder like this, which means the little hook on the inside has to catch, and it's got to wind this way. So I could just get it caught like that. Of course, this is in the way. It never ends, eh? When you're trying to do watch work, there's always something in the way. So I'm just trying to get that inside there. So I wrap that around, and then I just turn this around. I'm not going to move this for now. And let's see if I can get this in the barrel without any problems. I figures this friggin' handle would be right where I need to be, right? I got glasses on right now because, you know, this is, you can screw your eyes up on this thing if you don't watch out. And normally the glove, like having my rubber glove here, is probably not the most ideal thing. So there we go. So that's in like that, and I think I can, you wind it back like this, and then it goes against the jobby doohickey like that. So there's like that, and then I need to have the ability to push this whole thing into the barrel, which I will, but I have to get the barrel out. So there's the hook on the barrel right there. So try to line that hook up as best I can with the if I can actually line that up the best I can, so that I get it so it will hook on and I don't have an issue. So let me just push this out and see what happens. I think it needs, oh, there we go. Is that in? I think that's in. Let me see, which way did I wind it? That way, so I can go backwards to get it out of the... Look in here and see if there's anything caught. No, there isn't. So there it is there, and I think it missed the hook. But next time it comes, no, it didn't miss the hook. It's in, you can see the actual, there you can see if you look really carefully, the mainspring has caught that little side barrel hook, which is what you want, right? And as this tightens up, that'll catch it even more. So that's how you do that. All right, now what I'm going to do is apply a little bit of oil to the barrel. Let me zoom in here so you can get a live action shot of oil in the barrel. So, and all I do there is I go like this. 1, 2, 2 again, 3, and 4, and that should be good. And that barrel will, you just clean the end off this oiler, and that barrel will reseat itself. Once it's wound up once and it unwinds, it'll all coil in nicely. So you won't have to have a problem. There won't be a problem with that. I always look and see that how flat is this spring against the sides. It looks like it's out just a bit, but see, I just press that down with my fingernails and it goes right down. I smushed a little bit of the oil, but not that much, so I'm not too concerned. And now the cap, right, this is the cap that it has, so I'm going to roll this. I'll hold this with my fingers and I'll get all kinds of comments now. So this cap is beveled. So if you look at this, there's a bevel right there, and that bevel allows the mainspring to go over top and then catch where the hook is. So you kind of go on an angle like that and then try to get the hook in first if I can, and then turn it like this. And now when I turn it this way, it should catch that hook, which it has. I can feel it now. It caught the hook, so that's good. Now I can take my glove, I can roll the wheel like that, and then any just Rodico, any excess stuff from my little fingies like this, and that way there's no residual fingerprints on this. Although I'm not sure if it hurts it that much, because I've never seen the fingerprint area of a pocket watch being corroded. So corroded is my favorite type. Now I got to put this watch back into the Myers movement holder, Myers number 58 movement holder, because the first thing I'm going to do is actually see if I can put the winding mechanism back, because that'll be the one that's the pain in the Batinsky. It goes this way and then the other way. So, all right, because I think I got to put this side in first and then the other side in after. So let's get the parts I need for the winding mechanism and bring those over, bring those closer. So all these little tiny parts are what I need. I just have to make sure they're still grouped up nicely. Yeah, when I made a board underneath my desk, and I got a lump now in my pad. you may notice it. It's right here, and because there's a screw underneath there, so I may have to move everything over a bit, because I got to get these bolts that are on the top here, I got to get them flush, so get a device that allows me to make them flush. So there are the springs and some of the stuff that needs to go back in. And I got to look at my I'm going to look at my phone for pictures of the whole winding mechanism, so I make sure I put it in the right way. All right, let's start farting around, as they say. Let's start farting around. So the first thing that has to happen is that this piece here needs to go in from the bottom, right, like this. So this comes in from the bottom, I believe it just settles in. Let me look at the bevel on this. I don't know whether it settles in from the bottom or the top. So if I push this in from the top, what happens? It goes in like that, I think. This is tricky, this part here. This is the part that I love. Because it's so difficult. There's a lip right there I can see. And that means, and there's a lip right there. So that means this could go in like this with that lip, right? I think. Or actually it goes in the other way. Let me think here. That lip is actually along the edge of the barrel. That's why that lip is like that. Don't give me any lip. Alright, so that goes in like that along the edge of the barrel. Let me grab this thing then. There's likely going to be Rodico involved, because Rodico is watchmaker's best friend. So there, like that. Exactly like this. And then what I'm going to do is, let me just line that up again. And I'm going to get me a chunk of Rodico, because this will not hold in place unless I get Rodico in there. So I'll just make sure this is 100% aligned. So I just have to touch it just a bit. Like that. And I'm just going to lay the Rodico flat right over the top of this thing. Like this. Because all I need to do is get that screw in on the other side. So do that, and then when I turn that around, I've got a plate and the screw. So now before that screw goes in, there's a wheel that goes in there. So no kidding, a wheel. Who would have thought, right? I'm going to get a little closer here because I'll get complaints from my subscribers that first of all, your nails are too long. Secondly, you're not getting close enough. So what I'm going to do is just put a dab of oil right on this pipe right here. Like that, because that'll help that move along nicely. Move my oilers out of the way. And now this gear sits right on top of that. And I think there was no bevel on that gear at all. I'm pretty darn sure. Sure, I tell you. But I'm going to put it in like this. Just like that. I can feel the Rodico moving on the other side. It wants to move. Let me push that Rodico a bit. There. Stay. Stay. And then push this gear down. Is that gonna go down? Or is it gonna give me issues? Maybe it goes the other way. Let's try it the other way. Didn't think there was an up and down on this gear at all, but there might be. You don't know. But this is a real pain in the ass to put together, I'm telling you. They didn't design this for maintenance. They designed it for themselves. Alright, I'm going to put it in this way now. Oh, there we go. Now it's flat. And then I'm holding it with my hand just so this plate doesn't go away. So, and now I've got this here, which is this beveled? I do not think so, but I do see that the screw hole is, so I can put it in like that. And this whole rig has got to move over because I don't know if this just, there is a bevel here, so it goes above the bevel. So it's above the bevel. Like that. Stop moving. Bejesus. Above the bevel. There's bevels on both sides, of course, so they're just trying to line this friggin' thing up, eh? Not easy. And then the screw goes in, and it's got to go in deep enough. Just drop this in the hole here. and grab the screwdriver and pray. This is the most awkward screwdriving I've ever done. Seems like it's grabbing it, so let me just flip this around and have a look. Because it's a pretty narrow screw here, so now as you can see, this needs to just nudge over a bit. And then when this screws in, hopefully I have no issues here. I think I need a bigger screwdriver. What do I got? Black and red. I need a different color. Black, red. Where the hell is my silver? There it is. It's sitting in the blue. So turn that around and have a look at what it looks like again. And make sure everything is aligned. So again, this thing needs to be just slightly moved over. Which likely means I got to loosen this up just a bit. Yeah, that's not aligned. I gotta loosen that up. I think my other screwdriver was too big. Just a bit, so I can press that here, because that's where the barrel goes. Hope you're watching all this. I think I can twist it like that. So alright, that's perfect, unless that screw turns it when I tighten it. Sure, jump out of my hands. Alright, that's pretty friggin' tight. Right there, let me look down again. It looks like it's perfect, I think. We'll be able to tell when I put this in. This will go all the way through, and then there's the pipe that fits in the end like that. So that'll be the telltale if this all lines up nicely. If it doesn't, I can loosen that screw and then play with it until it does line up, right? That is the plan. Alright, I think I'll do what we call farting around, right? So I know I've got to have this pipe in first, right? But this is part of this whole winding mechanism, and I know that the front end of this winding mechanism, there's this thing here, right? Which is what? This is, what the hell is this? This is the arbor for the mainspring barrel. So don't try to install that in your setting mechanism. So this gear here then would likely go, it goes like this, and it has to go on first. So it has to go on like that first. And then this gear here goes on like this because of the crown on there. And then I'll just tip this up a bit like that. And let me see if I can put this in by hand or by glove, by hand and glove, like that. And then the whole thing sits in here, and then this pipe goes through, right? So, but the pipe goes through this way. So I gotta figure out how to put that. What do I do here? I guess I can put the pipe in first. Let me see if it all folds in nicely if I just do this. I don't think so. Only because the pipe needs to be in there. Let's try this again here. Sometimes you want to just scream. Scream, I tell you. Let me see. If I go like this here, and then I put it in. Let's get this. I want you guys to see how hard this is to fumble your way through, right? I might need another pair of tweezers. Because what I want to do is get this pipe in here like that at an angle while this thing is in. Now I remember last time saying that, holy shit, I think I have to undo it from the other side first. I really don't want to have to do that, folks, because that's going to be so difficult. So if I could just get it in without having to do that, I'm going to see if I can. I know I can. I think I can. Yeah, because that's got to go in, but that wheel's got to be in there. So it's all so very tight. There's got to be a way of doing this where you don't have to take off this friggin' thing here, because this is such a pain to put back in place. I got to look at it a lot closer. Which means I got to get down and dirty, boys. Down and dirty. And this has got, yeah, it's got to be the morning after. Now if this goes in like this, is there a bevel in there that allows me to put this in? Yes, no, maybe? There might be. It seems like it's almost fitting. There we go. So that's in like that. Now, I don't know whether this pipe can come in without me loosening the other side. It might not. Because I think it'll go in a ways, and then I have to loosen the other side for this thing to fit properly. I know that for a fact. Damn it. It'd be only if this thing was lifted up out of there, and then you can't get it in the other way. So you're screwed either way, right? Which means I've got to loosen the other side. Let me get my best friend here. That's Rodico. And just put the Rodico over the top here so I don't have to fart with that once this thing loosens. Just take it over the bridge like that. And I have to loosen this stupid screw here. Right? This just pisses me off that this is the way this is designed. It's a stupid design. Alright, this won't go in. I need my red screwdriver, and I don't know where it is. I don't know where my red screwdriver is. All I have is my black. It's somewhere. But. Got it. It was on the friggin' telescope, or the microscope. So I loosen this up. Let me just loosen this up without stripping the thread here. There. I loosen it up enough. Hopefully that's enough so that it's flexible. There, look at that. See that? Now I can push this in over the lip and over the hill and through the dale. And then I got to very carefully turn this over and tighten this just a bit, just so make sure it's not going anywhere. Come on, tighten. I do have long fingernails, don't I? Alright, so let me just put it down here for a second and bear down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. What are you going to do if you really don't want to dance? To get down on the floor. The floor. I can do it. Let me see, is this moving now? It is. So, do I get that moving all the way? I don't know. You know what? Something's screwy about this still, because I think the stem has to come through. So I got to have a look at my pictures again. There's the picture, so I think I'm good. That little rod just sticks up through there, so I think I'm good. Alright, what I want to do now is make sure the barrel, there's the barrel and arbor here, and I think it goes like this. I think this comes right out like that. And then there's the barrel. I'm touching it with my fingers again, aren't I? Bad boy. Bad! Go to your room. And the barrel needs to not touch the wall of that other thing there, so I gotta make sure there's, there we go. So now the the arbor is in now. So if I put this barrel in place, is it gonna touch the edge of this thing here? That's the question. The answer is no. I'm having a look at it just to make sure where I put this winding mechanism in there isn't an issue, right? So, and it doesn't look like there's an issue, but I'll tell you what I do need to do is put a little bit of Royale on the barrel. Like that. You don't need to put much on there because I'm going to be putting oil on the other side later anywho. Okay, so now I think it's time for me to get the Myers number 58 movement holder and put that in place because I've got stuff to do. I'm telling you, stuff to do. I think I can leave it I think I'll leave it just like this, right? And then tighten that up. And I think I need to put all this crap together, right? So, do I do it with the Myers or do I do it without the Myers? Let me think. I'll leave it on the Myers for now. So, this is the tricky part here. So I'll take this off. It's all good. And this stem can't possibly come out now because I know that when you remove it, it can't possibly come out when it's in this condition, right? So, but I also know that I need to put a little bit of oil on things. So I want to make sure things are well, just like on your honeymoon, I want to make sure things are well lubricated. Correct? Correct. And a little bit of oil there. There we go. And these gears will simply grab each other when they're winding, so I'm not too concerned with those. I'm going to put a different type of oil on a thicker kind of keyless oil on this part, which is more like as opposed to an oil. And this will kind of pass itself around. So I'll just do this for now. And then a little bit of that same stuff right on the edge. So it has a smooth ride around. And when this spins, that'll pass that oil around too. And so that's good enough for now. Now I got to get up that diagram so I can see how that keyless stuff sticks together. Oh, there's the diagram. So, oh my God. There it is there, and that's how it works. And let's see if I can put this back together again. See, there are no schematics for this watch repair. There's just patience and a whole lot of luck. So this goes in like, look at this. This goes in like so. This goes in like that, just like that, with a screw in there, and the screw would be this one right here. Again, I might have to use my electronic stick because I'm going to have to hold this in place. What's weird is that the screw is going to go in, but it needs to move. So the screw's in. Need a smaller screwdriver here. I tighten that, and when I tighten it, it still moves. It also pops right up. Look at that. That just means that this screw never really needed to be removed, right? I just needed to place this object over the screw. It's a puzzle. It's basically a puzzle. So that's not right. This is right. There we go. So that's placed in, that's in place. And then this crazy ass gear, I shouldn't say the A word actually, but this crazy gear with an A on it goes over like this, just like that. And it's this, the end of this, the job of the end of this is to push on the very end of the other thing. So it goes like this, and then the clip goes on. But I know that I can put this on before I put the clip on. So the trick is, there is a lever here, and I'm never sure how that lever is actually supposed to work, but I think that's a hole for oiling, I believe. So there's a hole right there, I believe that's for oiling. You put this right on top. I got choices here. I can put the spring back in here first and then pray, or I can put the top back on. So why don't I just lay the spring down, because it goes like this and then it goes on the other side. So I think probably the rounded side goes on the other side, although it looks pretty much the same, right? But I would say the rounded side probably goes over here like that, and the pokey man side goes right there. So I can just see if I can put this spring in place by putting one in place first and then grabbing the other one. See, everything falls apart. Somebody told me online that this is a pain in the ass. The other thing you can do is actually you put the cap on and then you put the spring on after. So you do that there. Now I'm going to hold the spring and everything with this. It doesn't seem to want to be held well. The fear here is that the thing just flies out. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put the cap on first, because the cap holds everything in place, and then you can put the spring on and not have to worry about anything. Whoever designed this mechanism needs to be taken out back and slapped really hard. Slap that baby, because that person is not very nice. There's a screw. I'm not sure if I got the right screwdriver, but I'm going to try. Once you get it in the threads, turn fast, boys, turn fast. So that's nice and tight. That's still loose. And then this thing here, I think, can slide right in. Let's see if that works. Or will it? I'm going to kill somebody any second now. I'm going to try to get it in on this side first, because I know it just dips in. And then it flies right out again. That's the rounded part. I think that's on the other side. Patience, my friends, patience. This goes like that. And then the spring goes in like this. So it needs to go over the top. That's the problem. This needs to go over the edge, which I may have to do. I know I pushed this on before, but I don't want to just grab it and push it on, because I'll likely lose things. Alright, that's good on that side. I'm not sure if the spring is in on the other side, though. Is that in on the other side? I'm going to turn it sideways and have a look. Yes, I think it is. I think it is. So the spring looks like it's in, but before I fart with this, I'm just going to move this around a bit, see if there's any issues. Alright, so now this hammer here needs to be over the top of that other thing, right? And I'm not sure if it is. That looks like the spring is in. I don't know. Is it in or not? Now what I could do is remove that screw and have a look. So here's what it looks like without the cap on it, and the spring was not in the right place. So now I've got to put the cap back on because it was effed up. Yeah, it's definitely effed up. That's why this video is not made for kids, because occasionally I want to kill somebody when I'm doing it. But whatever. Whatever. So I'm hoping you're enjoying this nonsense, because this is going to wear me out today. See if I can put this in here without any problem. Okay, there it's in. That's nice. I don't think this hole has to be in any certain position, but that's in and that's tight right now. Now if I use a bench key, right, is this going to do anything? So there we go. That works now. As you can see, and I can see where there's oil required, because I can see where the friction is. The friction. I need to change the oil on this because there's dirt on the bottom, which is not good. I'm trying to take the oil from the side, but I can see right here where there's a ton of friction, and then right here where there's a little bit of friction. It's not a ton, but it's still enough to cause the watch to have problems. There we go. That should help. And let me see now with the bench key what kind of action I get. I think that's a lot smoother. Yeah, that's not bad at all right there. All right, good stuff. That's the keyless. Someone might ask, JD, what did you do today? I reassembled a PW. A PW. This goes in like this, I'm absolutely sure. So I'll just throw that in, and there it is. There's the barrel. And the bridge goes on top of all that stuff. Now I got to look at the gears to make sure they're going in the right order, because I know I can put the pallet fork in first, and then the other gears will flow nicely. So I just have to have a quick look and see if I took a picture of the gears. No, I didn't. You fool! You didn't take a picture of the gears. So I can just make some guessing here. And if I get it wrong, I get it wrong. But I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. Now, somewhere in this mess of stuff, there's a pallet fork. I'm trying to remember where the hell I put it. I think I put it in with my hands. My hands! Oh, my wife just came home, because I can hear the door. I can hear the door. Holy Jesus, man. Stuff's all stuck together. Bam! Alright, I know the minute she comes in, she's going to want to come talk to me. And that will disrupt the reassembly process. But there is the pallet fork. Right there. So I'm just going to make sure that is cleaned up on the tip. Now the pallet fork takes some very special oil. And you can put it on the escapement or the fork. I tend to like to put it onto the pallet fork if I can. And I can do that just by dipping that in and then just putting a little tiny bit. Not sure if you can see me, right? On the tip of that pallet fork. Turn that around a bit. And then the other side. It's perfect. And that oil is amazing how it frees the fork up from the little feet on the escapement. It's amazing. Amazing. And I can just put that pallet fork in. I believe it'll go in like this. Which side has got the hard angle on the pallet fork? That's the question. I don't know, so I'm going to just look this up really quick. Alright, I know the pallet fork mouth has got to receive this, but I've got this guard pin in here, which should be, if this was a double roller, it would be on the top, I think. So hopefully I'm not wrong here. What I should do is put in the escapement first, and then if I put the escapement in, I can tell exactly which side, how low the pallet fork needs to go. And the escapement would go in right here. Like this. I'll put a little oil in that escapement first before I put it in. Just oil it just a bit. Jeez. Yeah, I think it's this kind of oil I use. There we go. And then plunge this in, beep, 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 like that. And then I'll put the escapement in, and then see how low that is, because that's going to align perfectly with the pallet fork. So you may have it the wrong way. It's like, okay. Oh yeah. So nothing wants to go in easy today. What the hell's going on? Alright, there we go. Now, if the pallet fork goes in this way, then the two of them should line up perfectly. Correct? Correct. I think it goes the other way, folks. Pretty sure. I'm always screwing around with the pallet fork. I believe I can fly. I think it goes in this way. I was stupid because I just looked at the angle of the actual pallet fork, and there shouldn't be an issue. There we go. That's perfectly matched. And now I just need to put the bridge in, and then put the screws on the bridge. Right. I feel like I'm too close to my watch today. It just seems like it's on top of me today. What the heck is going on here? Like when I'm further away from the watch movement, this stuff just falls into place. Anyway, I'll put the screws in really lightly, and then make sure the pallet fork's in place properly, because that's one of the areas where you've got to be very, very careful, because if you don't put the pallet fork in right and you tighten down on these screws, then there's a high probability of screwing it up. And that you don't want. I'm glad I found my red screwdriver though. I'm all happy now. So just tighten that, loosen it up a bit so there's no pressure at all on there. And now I don't need my $1 million stick because this is there. So, and I just, well actually I do need my $1 million stick because the other screw is loose. So I'll just do it like this. And now I'm going to test and see if that pallet fork is actually the pivot sticking through the hole. Yeah, there's the pivot. Look at that little guy. And there's the pallet fork moving left and right without a problem. And I always do this. I'll tighten it just a little tiny bit. And I always do this because you never know. Take this out, flip it the other way, and have a look. Now the problem is I don't want all this shit to fall out, so I'm just going to put my finger over it like this, and I just want to look at the pallet fork to make sure that the actual pivot is going through the hole. And I believe it is. Yeah, there it is. I can see the pivot, so we are rock and rolling, folks. We are rocking and rolling. Now I can actually tighten this thing down. Let's measure once, cut 15 times. No, measure 15 times, cut twice. Something like that. There we go. And just touch that pallet fork to make sure it's still loose. Yep. Anything can happen. And this jobby doohickey needs to come on top once I get all the wheels in, right? So I'll just back, the wheels usually go in one at a time backwards, right? So I just have to make sure the right one goes in next. The next wheel should be, where is that wheel? I hope you're enjoying this video because I'm not. The next wheel would be the fourth wheel, right, with the pivot. So if I very carefully lower that wheel into place, I know I should put a little oil in there because the oil actually touches the base of that, and it's usually never oiled properly. So I always have to clean off your oiler before you go into the next bit of oiling. So I know that if I just put a little bit of oil in the base here, like that, right, then everything is going to move more freely. And grab that fourth wheel, and that fourth wheel will just go down. I could drive it by the pinion, and it probably would be better, but because here you can't put it in properly. I'm talking like I'm a golf announcer. I have to go see if my wife's happy that the garage door is now working. There we go. That one is in. And the same with the next one before I get to the great wheel, the great grand wheel of fortune. And that's that wheel there. So this one would go in next like this. I think, you know what, the same as the last one. I'm going to put a little tiny bit of oil on there. Because I do believe that this side of the jewel touches the pivot. There we go. That was the world's smallest bit of oil. And right now I'm actually putting the other video on YouTube. So the tube of you, I just changed tweezers because I like the light ones. And I'll just lower this ever so carefully. And then I'll screw it up ever so carefully. There we go. And now I've got to go grab the great wheel. Oh my don't think it's that great. But they call it that, so I might as well. It looks like it's gold, by the way, this one here. And I think what I'm going to do here is oil the inside of the great wheel. And just where it touches the bearing on that. So if I oil right here, that's where it touches the bearing. And just put a little tiny bit of oil in there. And then I pull my oiler out super slow so nothing sticks to it. And now I can grab the great wheel, which is the center wheel, and just toss it down like that. There we go. That's the center wheel down. And then now I can put on some plates. So because I've got everything kind of organized here, I can put on this plate first, which is the plate. Hang on a second. Alright, so I put this plate on now, so I can put some screws in there and just to hold it down before I put on the ratchet wheel and some other stuff, right? So just got to make sure I got the right screws here. The right screws, Jerry. I'm glad I got my red screwdriver back. It was MIA. It was over by my stereo microscope. I was like, what the hell are you doing over there? It kind of ran over there. And you can see that little hill here on my pad. I do have to get rid of that. It's kind of pissing me off. But I do like the latch that I installed on the bottom. So it's a controversy for me. So the latch and the double Z joints on the bottom hold a plank of wood, and that was holding my the plank of wood was holding my the joystick, the A10 Warthog joystick I have. But now I've got A10 Warthog joystick clamps, so I no longer need that thing on the bottom, although it's pretty handy to just pull that board out, because it just, you pull it out and you push it back in again. I'll show it to you after. It's so exciting. Now here I want to oil as well, right on the edge here of where this I do have to cut these fingernails because they're stupid long right now, and I need to play some guitar today. So I got to oil right in here, because that's where that mainspring will touch. So oil there, and you only have to oil one, maybe two sides, and then you spin it around, right? But I want to get rid of any excess oil that I put in there. So just dab that, and that's going to get rid of any excess oil. And now I got to figure out how to put this other stuff together. So I think that the next thing is the ratchet wheel. I think that the ratchet wheel, I think I'm missing something here. Anyway, the ratchet wheel like this, so it goes like this, and the little screw there that's on the end kind of aligns with the ratchet wheel. So it goes on like that, and then there's a little tiny screw there that aligns perfectly with that ratchet wheel. As you can see, the ratchet wheel is going over the great wheel. I just want to make sure I don't put any pressure on the great wheel with the ratchet wheel. And I think that yeah, it's not touching it. No. And I think the ratchet wheel goes on. I got to check this out just for a second, because I think that yeah, the wheel in the center, this turns, but that center wheel stays where it stays put, right? Stays put. And this, I believe, goes counterclockwise. Now, there is another wheel that goes over for decoration on top of this. Come on, let go. And that just goes in the slot like that. It just fills right down. Then the whole shooting match is kept in place by a single screw. When you put these screws back, you got to make sure that you don't strip anything, because they're easy to strip. And the screw either goes clockwise or counterclockwise. I can't remember. Stop it. The screw is totally pissing me off. There we go. I think when I'm doing my watch work and the camera's there, still loose. Yeah, that's good. Still loose. And I'll test all the winding out after, but stop whining. Stop winding. So this wheel here, what's the mystery here is I know there's I believe there's a cap for this, and I can't seem to see it unless there is no cap, but that doesn't make any sense at all. Because that would go over like this, and then there would be a cap on top of that. Get the click spring out of the way. Before you put the wheel down, it's always a good idea. And then you can, then the wheels will mesh. The wheels on the bus go round and around. There we go. So that's good there. Now what I'm missing here is the I'm missing, I believe there's a friggin' thing for the top of this. I have to take a look at the movement. It'll work like this, but I believe there's a cap or something that goes over the top of this. So what I'm going to do, just in case, is I'm going to check my my cleaning bins to make sure there's nothing that gets stuck on the side of something, right? So it wouldn't have gotten lost. So I just checked my previous video, and there is no plate above that, above the ratchet, or above the ratchet wheel, which is good, so I didn't lose anything. But there is no plate. I just thought, I could just check the previous video before I disassembled it, and there was no plate, just a screw. And I think there was supposed to be a plate, so the previous watchmaker, once again, and I'm giving this guy all kinds of shit, right? That whoever that was, the plate was removed. So let me see. I think I can screw this down. There we go. And I don't think I want to screw it down tightly because it'll end up winding the watch. So I got to make sure I tighten all this stuff, or I'm going to have problems. So now I just need to put this back. And in this case here, I just want to make sure everything is generally aligned, because then you end up just tweaking them to make sure they're in place, right? You do some tweaking. That's what you do. So tweaking and pushing and gazintas. And for this, it's just a matter of making sure that the pivots and stuff are in the holes. That one's good there, and then I got the end one there that I got to tweak. Put a little bit of pressure on the top, and then I can go in here and just move that. And did that do anything? No. Nope. I think these gloves are slippery, which pisses me off. That's two. That's one. 1, 2, 3. Now the last thing is the escapement. So what I do here, and I recommend, is just loosely put in the screws once you've got this in place, so I can use my $1 million stick and I can put the screws in here just so ever so loosely. Once again, you don't want to crush the pivot on the end of the escapement, so I'm just putting these in here with no vengeance. So they're in, they're not even snug, they're just sort of sitting there, and that's so the plate doesn't jump off. And I want to make sure I keep those other two pivots in the holes, so I can just put this screw in right here. And this has been a fun watch. This has been almost a full day. I got some videotaping here so I can add more time because of that. But it does take a long time to, especially this one here, which had a real jewel issue, like a super bad jewel issue. So now I can tilt this a bit and look at that upper pivot and see if I can just move that in place, right? There we go. So that upper pivot is now in place. And I can tighten that up just a tiny bit here. Just turn that a bit more, and then grab that last screw like that. Put that down. I'm going to do a lot of praying when I put the balance back and say, okay, how's this thing going to work? It's going to give me some nice ticking and amplitude is what I'm looking for. So I think I'm not tightening these a lot. I just want to put a little tiny bit of wind in the mainspring. So I get my bench key out, wherever the heck that is. There it is there. And I think I should be able to just wind this, unless I screwed something else up, right? And let me see, which is the fat end? That's the fat end. So if I just push that in like that, that should wind the watch a bit. And hopefully that hook is hooked. That's good there. And then now all I do is take my $3 million stick and I just touch that pallet fork to see if it snaps, and it is snapping nicely. So you just have to touch the pallet fork like this ever so lightly, and that means the power is going from the mainspring all the way through the watch to the escapement, and then you've got a solid watch now. So now I can tighten some stuff up. Well, first of all, I want to tighten this mainspring on the top. There we go. This is already tight. Just tighten some of these screws. Otherwise, the watch gets returned and it loosens up, and then you got more problems. So I want to give a shout out to Bori. So he got his. I repaired his watches a while back, and I just delivered them. And he just sent me a note saying he forgot how nice they looked. So those watches I did a lot of work on. This is one of the ones I made the jewel setting on. So it was a toughie, I'd say. So that's so shout out to Bori anyway, if you're listening or watching my video still. And I can't forget to put the ring back, or I get trouble, right? So now that I got it in good position, I think I can put on the. I think I want to put on the face and stuff. Do I want to do that first? So here's the dilemma, right? So if I flip it over, I can put the hour wheel in, the minute wheel in. I can put the face back on it, and then I'm going to do some stuff. If I put the balance back in right now, then it's in the way kind of when I'm trying to put the face and everything else back on, right? Including putting the pallet fork back in, or the whatever the hell it's called back in. So what I want to do, now that I've got it like this and I can make it flat here, I can actually throw that cannon pinion back in. So I'm just going to grab some of the parts I had over here for a second, because there's not many parts left now, folks. I just have a few things left here. And this thing here, you got to bend these up, the dial washer, just twist it up a bit, because its job is actually to keep the dial away from, it's actually to keep the hour wheel down. That's the job. So you have it curved upward, and it puts some pressure on the hour wheel, but there's not enough pressure on the hour wheel to stop the watch, just to keep it honest, right? So I can put it down like that, maybe flatten it out a bit more. But so then this would go in. I would put the minute wheel in, and then I need to put the cannon pinion in. So I should just take the minute wheel out for now, because I don't want it to be crushed by the cannon pinion going down. So the cannon pinion will go in. Often I'll put the cannon pinion in using a stake, but this one here I remember was super easy to get out, so no problem there. No need to oil the cannon pinion, so I can put the minute wheel back in, and that should align perfectly now with the teeth of the cannon pinion. Let's see if I can make these things align. There we go. Not turn a liar out of me, right? And then I put the hour wheel in. It just sits on top like that, and again that sits down. And then the what did I call this before? Dial washer. And then I put the dial washer down, and and then I grab the dial itself, and I already loosened the screws up, so let's hope the things didn't go bad here. So I can see where the seconds hand is down there. I just have to make sure I'm clear of that when I line these up, and that'll fall right down like that. And then I can tighten the screws here on the edge. These will hold down the dial. You don't need to screw. You tighten it, but you don't need to go haywire on tightening these. Okay, they just need to be snug, because the dial's not going to fly out. It's got other things holding it in place. So you just do that, and that's the dial down. And then what I always do next is I take my Rodico and I look for any stupid prints that I might have put on there or that are left over, and actually you can't really see that much, but I give it a little bit of a once over anyhow, right? Like that. And that gets rid of any smudges or prints or anything. And I'm going to return this watch, and the dial is going to look gorgeous. So I think Brian, who provided this watch to me to repair, will be very happy. And you'll see that it's not a 5-second job. So that's the other side of the story. Now I do have to put the balance in before I put in the dust cover, right? And I think I'll do all that, then I'll put the hands in. So I think I've seen Mark do this before, but I'm actually unscrewing the cap of the balance while it's on the tack, right? So, and you don't have to put a lot of pressure on that because it's just sort of sitting there, so it shouldn't be a problem. But I do need to use Rodico here to pick this one up, because this one seems like it didn't want to lift. So you just sort of pick it up and then twist the Rodico just a bit. And now the trick is removing this cap jewel, and I'm not sure whether I'll be able to do it or not. So I may have to take the watch off this balance and all that stuff to remove the cap jewel properly, unless it just comes up, which would be really nice. And then again, that might not happen. Oh, I've seen some action here. Alright, I can't do this under camera. Alright, done and dusted. I apologize not doing this under camera, but it freaking stresses me out when I have to remove the cap and oil it, because it's just, especially when I'm doing it on the tack, right? So it's crazy. I've shown you how to do that in other videos, but this is a tricky thing to do. Alright, I got to put this back. I could put the balance back in while it's on this movement holder, or I could put it on the Myers. I think I'll put it in the Myers number 58 movement holder, and then use that and the angle I have here to actually put that in properly. So, and I don't need to squeeze down on this a lot. I just need it to be kind of steady in place, steady eddy. So I'm just going to tighten just a tiny bit so it can move like this and not skip, right? So let's turn this balance around and see if I can put this in the watch. I want to enter the watch, I think, from the outside in, so I want to make sure the pallet fork is on the inside. So I just move that over like that, and then I just want to grab this balance ever so carefully, and I think I can just rock it down like that. There we go. And now I'm going to enter the impulse jewel from one side, so just calm it down a bit like this, and then just rock the movement forward a bit, and then try to line up that lower pivot with that where that jewel is. And I'm not sure whether that's lined up or not, or what. And then I turn that in like this. And sometimes you're lucky and it works, and sometimes you got to try it again, right? So I lower that balance like this, and there you go. Look at that. Oh, stopped. You know what? It got on the other side of the, because I didn't have it down, right? It got on the other side, so I got to tip this again and take it out. Move it this way, like that. And I want that jewel to enter from this side, so I just move it in like this, like that. Turn this around. It's got to find the jewel holes. This isn't not it's not the easiest thing to do, and I'm always protecting the edge here because I'm always worried about the balance actually falling out. So what do I got? What's going on here? Let me have a look at it. There's always something. There's always something, right? What is it? It's just not in the hole, I don't think. You know what I'm going to do is put the something's funky going on here. There's something funky going on. It's always something. You got to look at it sideways and see if it's touching something here. Just doesn't feel like the balance is in the jewels. I don't know. Something's caught. Something is caught. Well, I'm going to tighten the screw down just a bit because it may have something to do with that. So let me get my $1 million stick out. I wish things would just work the first time, right? But once again, these are vintage pocket watches, so you never expect them to actually work the first time. So, and I usually end up farting with it to get it going properly. So I'm just going to get the screw in place here. Something felt like it was snapping around there, but and just look at it like this. Oh, that's odd. Sort of just sitting there in the middle, and takes the pressure off this here and see if there's an issue there. Everything looks fine. I'm going to have to diagnose this, I think, because I don't think there's any pressure going to the yeah, I don't think there's anything going to the to the movement here. That feels pretty. It feels like there's stress on there when I just press down. I can feel the pressure there. I don't think there's a problem here, here. Let me get the key out here and see if I've got an issue there. Nope. Push that back and it should be the... There we go. That would be setting the watch. That is weird. Freaking weird. The only thing I can think of is that the impulse jewel fell off or something. All right, I'll be right back, folks. Right back. All right, the watch is running now. It seems to have the occasional burp. I'm not sure what it is. So sometimes it's a tooth that might be a little bent, or it could be one of the feet of the escapement. It could be friggin' anything. So with these old watches, you're never sure. The good news is that it's actually working. I don't think the amplitude is super high, but it may end up being, it may be a little bit magnetic, which I don't know. So I'll have to put my compass over the top and see if I've got that problem with it, because I can demagnetize it, which I would normally do anyway. So let me just put this on top and see what kind of, yeah, you see that magnet jumping back and forth? So that means it's magnetized, which that doesn't help it. That may be the reason why it's stopping, actually, because that's quite magnetized, right, when it's doing that. So I got to demagnetize this thing as well, and that's not a very difficult thing to do. And then we'll check and make sure that it's still working perfectly. So that's next. So it's demagnetized. I can still see the minor shake on it, but I'm not sure if that's significant. I could put it through one more time. All right, that was the last demagnetizing session, and now it's not moving at all. That's good. So I almost have a 350 degree swing on the amplitude, which is pretty good. So I do need to oil the pivots on the top. I've already dealt with the bottom part, and let me just grab my oiler here, and I just want to put a little bit of oil on the pivots on the top. Just so they don't get lonely. And that'll make it run even better. And then let me see, I need this kind of oil here. And then this little more oil here. And this is the great wheel, or the center wheel. It's funny how some books call it the great wheel and some books call it the center wheel. I think it's a wonderful wheel. They should call it the wonderful wheel. There we go. That's that. I think all of the screws are tight, because I remember leaving some of them loose intentionally. But I believe they're all tight now. I'll check this out here. I think everything is kind of tight now. Yeah. I remember, I think I tightened the edge of these too. Yeah, these are all tight now. And that was tightened. This is tightened. And the watch is officially working. There we go. So before I put the hands on this watch, I'm just going to let it run overnight, and then check the amplitude in the morning. Put a little bit more of a wind on it. It's wound up a bit right now, and then I'll just case the watch up, and it's ready to go. So I think that's enough for you watchmakers out there. You know what it's going to look like after. So putting the ring back and casing it is no big deal. I can put the ring back on it right now, actually, just so aesthetically it looks great. What I do when I do that is I keep the ring away from the balance. Just slide it over like this, and then you can just push it down like that. And ring lines up with the winding, with the hole for winding the watch. So you can just grab the ring and then rotate it. I think it's got to go this way. There we go. And then, as you can see, the ring's showing itself there. And then on the edges, you just push it down. You grab it, and then you just push it down so it's covering the screws that are holding the face on. So right now I'm just grabbing my fingernails and pushing it down and out of the way. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. That's good. And it should go flat, so you can just check the edges of the watch to make sure that the ring is on flat and you don't have any issues there. And then, like I said, I'll just let this really nice movement run overnight, and then I'll case it again, and then we're good to go. So that's good for now. I've done way too much work today, so thanks for watching my channel. Thanks for watching my videos, and I got a nice little watch working away here, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye. All right, I got a little bit of an update on this watch. It's running at an amplitude of 300, and a beat error is like 0. It's unbelievable. So, and I'll just show you what I got here on my phone. There it is there. And it got up to 300, and that is phenomenal. That's a phenomenal beat error, and I regulated it ever so slightly, and it's just working so well. All right, I decided that now's the time to case it. It's been running for quite some time now, so I need to get my fingers away from this because you guys are going to give me shit again. So there's the case, and I just need to slide that in ever so nicely, or slightly, or whatever you want to say, like this. And you want to keep the just want to be able to rotate that stem so it finds home. There we go. So that's found home. And now the way I do it is let me just move this up just a bit for you, is I keep my fingers underneath like that while I take these case screws and put them in place. And like I said before, if you put them in place where the case screw is on the bottom, there's less chance of your screwdriver slipping and getting into that watch. So this turned out exceptional. When I put this on the time grapher, after you saw me put that oil on the pallet fork on this watch, it's just amazing what it did. So it's just phenomenal, the actual amplitude I was able to get. So you see, you got to make sure this is right. I can get the other one in here, and there it is there. And then tighten that up. That's going to draw that in, I think, because it's now down low a bit. So I'm hoping that draws that up. There we go. There we go. There we go. That's nice right there. And then this one here can be tightened up a bit. Just have to make sure that the winding and setting everything is fine here, right? So this is for setting, and then I push that in like that, and that's for winding. And yeah, it's winding. I got a full wind on this right now, so I don't want to do it anymore. So there. So I'm going to protect the end here, and I'm going to put the back on it right now, because I just want to protect it. It's running so well. Yeah, I got to take one more video of this before I put the hands on, because I'm just amazed at how nicely this is working. I'm always amazed at. That's why I do this, because I just love to see the result. I spent a good part of my day doing this, and I think it's well worthwhile. So I'm just taking a slow motion video of this just so I can see what kind of amplitude I'm getting. And once it clicks over, I can, oh yeah, look at that. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. That's some kind of amplitude. It's amazing. So let me see. So that's good there. I need to clean this back off just a touch with a cloth, right? Just to make sure there's nothing left over on there. And then I've got like it's running +1, which is exceptional, right? So I'm just going to put the case back on. And I remember when I took the case off of this watch that it was a little bit tricky to get the back on, I think. But that went on real easy. So that's no problem at all. Now the question is, with the hands, this hand is bent. So what do you think? Should I straighten that hand up or try to straighten it up? I know if I try to heat it up, it won't work. So and it looks like a different hand than the other ones. I could try to just milk it over, right? Like that, and see if that works. But I don't want to snap the hand off. That's the thing. So right now I'm just milking it a bit and seeing if it moves any. No, it's not moving much. So I can't hear the watch anymore. Hopefully I don't have a problem. Well, let me have a look. Nope, it's still running. Maybe I'm going deaf. I think when you put the lid on it, it quiets down. Yeah, it's ticking. Takes a licking, but keeps on ticking. So I think I can still hear it. Bring that up to the microphone, maybe. But I think that I'm going to leave this run overnight, just in case, right? So let it run overnight and then case it tomorrow. So I'll leave the back on it, and I'll just lightly put the top on, but I won't bother pressing the hands on yet, just in case I have to take it apart again. So there we go. I'm going to make the video now, though. So there you go. That's a very beautiful Waltham pocket watch. Again, running exceptionally now. So we'll see. New jewel. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching my video, and I'll catch you next time.